So it's been about a year since Robbie and I started this YouTube channel, really focusing on retirement preparation. In large part due to comments from you guys and just the research that we've done to do the videos, I kind of decided that I didn't want to wait till I was 60, which would have been this fall. And I retired a month ago. So last week I did a video on some of the hurdles, kind of mostly mental sort of hurdles that I've encountered in the first month. So this week I decided that we're going to get Robbie's take on how this first month has gone, and we're going to focus on some of the same topics, but just to get, you know,
the female perspective.
Yeah, my wife's take on it. I mean, I don't want to. I know I don't see everything the way she does, and I'm sure it's the same way in a lot of y'all's relationships. So, yeah, that's what we're going to do today. So the first kind of hurdle that I mentioned last week was our different take on finances. Like, we knew going in that it was different, but I think the hurdle's a little taller than we thought it was. And I'm not as concerned as Robbie is, and I've tried to help her get over the concern with only marginal success.
It's coming. It's coming slowly. There's so many things that play into the financial part of it. And one thing I do want to mention, if you've watched any of our videos, last fall, abruptly, unexpectedly, I was let go from my job. And, in the time that we had spent prior to that, even a couple years ago when we first started talking about when are we going to retire, I had it in my head that I was going to keep working when Rich retired. My plan was to stay at the job that I was currently in, which was working 3 days a week. So it wasn't full time, but 3 days a week. I made a decent amount of money. It was going to pay for our health insurance. And so I just kind of had that in my head. Well, then last fall, unexpectedly, I lost that job. And there were some things that happened, over the course of the winter. And eventually I did get a job and I am working, but I'm doing on a PRN or as needed basis. So and it doesn't pay quite what I made at the other job. So basically I'm not making as much as what I did previously.
And I think some of that, if we could categorize it, Robbie's kind of semi-retired.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and it's unexpected.
Right.
And the cash flow isn't what we had planned the whole time.
Right. So, Rich has laid it out on paper. We have a wonderful financial advisor who has also done everything he can to continue to tell me it's going to be okay. And I do believe that. I just still am having a hard time letting go of the plan that I thought in my head of how things was going to be, and then making the adjustments to the way things are now. Now, there's a couple things that go along with that. Like, there's a part of me, and I've shared this with Rich before. There's a part of me that, I feel guilty that I'm not working more than what I currently am. Because if I was doing something more, definitely our health insurance would be covered. And then I'd be back to the original plan, which was that's what we were going to do. And in my head, everything would be okay. So I have somewhat guilt about that. But I also don't like going to work when he's not going to work. So it's kind of like this catch-22, and I'm still kind of trying to process through that. The other thing with the finances for me is I wanted like this budget laid out. I wanted to see it. And, life happens, and we've had a lot of things happen in the last couple months. We have a very busy summer ahead of us with lots of travel. And I think we did a video in the past that talked about how when you first retire, typically your spending actually goes up, and then it kind of tapers off and things settle down a little bit. And that definitely is going to be the truth with us, because we are traveling a lot this summer, this fall. We have a lot of different little things that we're going to do. We also are having a lot of people come visit us. And when all of that stuff goes on, it all costs money, right? So to really, truly have a budget that is following all of the the logistics in my head of what it should follow, it's not really super realistic at this point. So, Rich is continuously encouraging me, which is what I need from him. But even with all of that, I think it's just going to take some time for me to just understand that it is truly going to be okay.
Yeah, and we built, I mean, and this is part of what I tell, we built into our plan that we can, if we need it, if we ran short a month or two, we can ask our guy to send us some more. And he's like, yeah, that's not going to be a problem.
And I know all of that, but I don't want to do that.
Right.
So in my head, it's like, okay, what do I need to do?
She's not ready to start spending what we saved.
That's right.
And I'm more there than she is.
Yes. Yeah. So that has caused some
tension,
some discussion and some tension. But I do think that I am slowly getting there. I think as females, we need that constant reinforcement that it's going to be okay. And he is going to take care of me. He is. I know he is. He's going to provide. It's going to be fine. But there's just a difference between men and women. And for us, I have more of a fear part of me than what he does. In Rich's video from last week, he also, second thing he talked about was me constantly asking him about his day and what he's doing.
Yeah, that kind of, sometimes it feels like, is there stuff that you need me to do and you're just checking to see if I have time, or you don't want me to be lazy and sit around on the couch? And like I said last week, that when I went to work, it was easy for me to say I just did work stuff,
right?
And that's kind of where it stopped.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm at home, I can't just say I'm doing home stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And his take on it, which I appreciate his take on it, and hearing him say that helps me recognize how it comes across to him when I am saying, what did you do today? Again, I am a detail person, so I like information. Rich is kind of more of a 1 or 2 word kind of an answerer. So sometimes it's like, but I think, and I've explained this to you, the purpose of me asking is more because I want to connect with him, especially if I'm at work and he's home. I want to know, like, what are you doing for your day? Like, who are you spending it with? Where are you going? What time did you get out of bed? What, and I know that can be a little overbearing, but for me, that's how I'm staying connected with my retired husband.
Yeah. And I think that's, for me, it's just, like I said last time, it's just an adjustment period where I have to understand that she's not questioning me.
Right.
It's just staying connected.
It's connecting with you.
And on that same note, I need to be better about asking her what she's doing with her day and how, when she does go to work, how the day went.
Right.
And actually paying attention to the answer too. So
yeah. And I feel like when he gives me details, and again, I think this is the difference between men and women, but when he does take the time to explain things to me or to discuss with me what he's done, it takes away like anxiety for me. Like I don't, for whatever reason, if I don't know, and I'm sure it's because I'm a control freak. And if I don't know what's going on, I get anxious about it. Like I want to know what is happening. What's the plan? And he's just not like that. So that's definitely been something that we are continuing to work through.
Yeah. The last thing I mentioned last week, that has been an interesting hurdle was the fact really that our time is really filling up.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
And it's a little bothersome maybe, but I'm like, okay, that's just the way it's going to be. Let's go. And Robbie gets a little more anxious about our time filling up. Like, I'm going to do this stuff with church. And when I talk to Robbie about it, her response is often, are you sure you want to do all that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, there's a lot of things that play into that. Like I like to be busy. I like to have things to do, all of that kind of stuff. But I also do like to have some downtime. And, we've always been busy in the summertime. That's when a lot of our family and friends come to visit us so we can take out our boat or we travel places. And this summer is no exception to that.
Yeah, we're literally busy every weekend until August.
It's
Either
great.
somebody's coming here or we're going somewhere.
Yeah.
And this is not a complaint. That's
it's
what
great.
we like. But I think the adjustment part is we kind of have the weeks, the weekdays to do stuff. And I'm seeing it kind of that way. And Robbie's maybe not quite there.
Well, yeah, not quite there, but also there's times where there's only a few days between our traveling, right? And in the back of my head, I'm thinking to myself, I have to work every single day that I can in this month because we're hardly at home.
And it goes back to that finance piece.
And it goes back to that finance piece. And so then it makes me anxious because then I'm like, okay, so we're, like for instance, we're visiting family in Canada. We come back from Canada, we're home for 2 days, we leave for Colorado, we're gone again. And I'm right away thinking, oh, well, I need to work both of those days because I got to get my work in.
And I tell her no.
And he tells me all the time, you don't have to work. And I know that, but that's like this part in my brain that still says I should be working. I should be providing enough money to cover our health insurance. And I just think it's time and reinforcement from Rich that it is all taken care of and it's going to be all right. And if I work, I work. And if I don't, I don't. But, I do worry that we are maybe overcommitting ourselves a little bit.
Well, I think it's really going to slow down
in the fall.
In the fall, when lots of our family has kids that are going to be going to school, so they're not going to be able to be as available as much, and there's not as many outdoor activities to do. So I'm just kind of sucking up this summer and just like I'm good being busy, and we're just different. So between this video and last week's video, I think we're just trying to put out there that no matter how much time you as a couple, or if you're a single person, no matter how much time you have inner dialogue or actual dialogue about how things are going to be, you need to keep a space for the adjustment part.
Right. And I think you can try and go through it. Like we watched a lot of videos. We did a lot of videos. I thought we were prepared, and we are prepared, and we were prepared. But there's still a lot of emotions that go with it that I don't think I was really prepared for. Like I thought I had it all under control, or whatever, understood it. And then when he actually retired, it was just like, whoa, okay, wait.
And I'm not always the best at being patient with her when she's questioning the stuff that we've already gone over 100 times. And I mean, right there, that's like, I say things like that kind of joking, but somehow she feels a lot of like truth in it, or that there's a hidden meaning behind it. And I'd like to say that I never mean it that way, but I'm sure there is some, there's some of that behind it. And again, we're going through the adjustment period.
Yeah. And I think just overall, and what I'm hoping is that with us kind of being transparent and saying, hey, this is what we're kind of experiencing the first month and a half of retirement from Rich's perspective and then from my perspective. But that doesn't mean that it can't be successful. And it is successful. Right. And I have no regrets. And he has no regrets. We've done the right thing with Rich retiring. There just truly is some adjusting that has to be done. And we are in the process of that. And then the other thing too, we're doing a series right now at our church over Psalm 23. And Rich and I are very big on our faith. And I just really have been trying to hold on to Psalm 23, verse 1. The Lord is my shepherd. He's my shepherd. I mean, he's right here with us. And I have everything that I need because he's my shepherd. So no matter what happens, no matter the fears, the anxiousness, any of that stuff that I feel, he is my shepherd.
Yeah. So I guess to wrap this up, we'd really like to hear from you guys, like maybe you have some tips for us on how to help us through this adjustment period. or so last week a few of the comments were like, hey, just it'll get better. Time's the biggest thing.
Mhm.
But what stuff haven't we talked about that you found maybe caused a little bit of conflict in your relationships post retirement, or if you're pre-retirement right now, what maybe we've helped you bring up something that, hey, we really need to dig into this before the added stress of one less income, so to speak,
Right.
comes into the equation. So we really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch our videos. Hopefully we're giving you content that you enjoy, and thanks a lot for watching. God bless.